Pastor Wilson Adewale is the founding member and current CEO of Stream Alliance LLC, an information security consulting company. He has over 27 combined experience in training, engineering, project management, information security, real estate development, and mortgage organization and international education consulting. Was in the past the CEO of Bonview Mortgage Corporation and president of the Association of African Brokers and Lenders in the Washington, D.C. area. He's constantly involved with and speaks regularly on infrastructure development and capacity building in the construction, mortgage, and real estate industry, both in the USA and overseas. He has helped to birth many small businesses. Pastor Wilson Adewale is the pioneer pastor of Caleb Crew, the teenage church of Hbcus Jesus House in DC, and currently assists in a volunteer capacity. He was also the program director for MTN Football Scholar Initiative, which plays several talented young Nigerian students, athletes in American colleges and universities. Pastor Adewale is a passionate speaker on young adult teenage issues and university college admissions, with special emphasis on scholarship opportunities in immigrant communities. He regularly features as a guest speaker at several non-profit organizations that enters on project development and motivating young leaders to take on challenges. Pastor Adewale has a master's degree in international finance from the University of Maryland College Park and a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of Lagos, Akokam, Nigeria. He has received several awards for several service. He's married to Auntie Tom with 3 adult children, mentoring young adults and teenagers. And ladies and gentlemen, join me this morning as we bring to the podium Pastor Wilson Adewale. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor Abe. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all. Thank you, God. I want to thank God for your church, City of David. I thank you for bringing me here. I don't take it lightly. It's a big opportunity for me to always be in our community. And I want to say that may God continue to bless the works of your hand. Pastor Abe, I thank you and your family, your wife. I just want to say, Pastor Abe, I've known for a long time, a man I respect very much. A lot of what he's saying, I hardly remember because my children always laugh at me that I forget a lot of things. But it's okay, don't worry. At that stage, I forget some things. But I just always remember him to be a great, great man. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. God bless you, sir. Please be seated. Please be seated. This morning, I want us to have fun while I talk about the things that may help you. Just give me a minute. Let me plug these things. By nature, just forgive me, I have a loud voice and I don't want to block your ears, so just don't worry. Just endure me for the moment that I'm here. Like Pastor Harvey said, my name is Wilson Adewale. And my children call me a variety of names, depending on the mood that they're in. Sometimes they'll say Sir Wilson. Then my wife will say, Omoyels, depends on the mood that she is. If she's in a fighting mood, it's not that. But if she's in a loving mood, say Omoyels, or she's in a hailing mood. I am somebody that naturally loves to hail people. I love people. So I consider myself a hailer. I love people so much that my father, before he died in 2006, we all grew up. I grew up in a large family. I have 7 brothers and 1 sister, who is the firstborn. We call her, she's a 5-star general because she's tougher than all of us. She's a tough lady. So so I have seven brothers and 1 sister. And in our house, our father used to always He used to hail. My father had a nickname for every one of us. My name is Yele, or he will never hear Yele. Almost yells. Daddy will always hear Abimbo's Joe. So we always had a nickname for everybody. So in my house, we all grew with that. So up to now, I have a nickname. And of course, all my children, depends on what mood or what they've done wrong, then that would initiate the nickname. For example, growing up, my mother, because she was a mother of many boys, she had to be tough. So my mother would call your name, and for a lot of you children who were born here, you may not understand, but when my mother calls your name, depends on how she calls you, then depends on the level of trouble that you're in. For example, my name is Omoyele, and if my mother says Omoyele, the next is Ma Wambi, those three things, Omoyele, that means there's serious trouble, severe trouble. You're in trouble, you're going to be caned. That's what it means, Omoyele. But when she just says, Yele, then that's fine. You understand? So it depends. So it depends on how your parents call you, your mother especially, as she calls you would depend. So whenever we're walking to my mom, when she calls that name, Omoyele, then I know that. So this is how we walk, like that. You know why? Because my mother was faster than Muhammad Ali in effecting a slap. So we'll be coming like that. So when she's coming, and then she comes like that, Omoyele, Ma, Wambi, and then you're like that. So you're almost like ducking. So we make fun of all this stuff. My mother is 86 now, and she's still very active. So I say, we have to say, Mommy, calm down. but you know, it's something that we enjoy growing up in Nigeria back then. You know, born in Lagos and been in this country for about 35 or 33 or 34 years. Sometimes I lose count. But anyway, it's been a little bit. And it's been a long journey. And the journey involves a whole lot. I'm a civil engineer by profession. Of course, I've ventured into quite a bit of stuff, business, like Pastor Abi was saying. And one of the things, I've learned so much, and I still learn every day of my life in this country. I still learn. But my dream and my desire is this. Several years ago, I never knew that I would witness a black president in the United States of America. I never knew that would come in my lifetime. I thought it would be my children's children's children, you know, like third or fourth generation. But before my own eyes, I was able to witness President Barack Obama. And a lot of you may not understand the impact of that in the world. It's huge to see an African American with some African blood, an African American become the president of the greatest country in the world, the most important man in the world. What does that mean for you? If President Obama can do it, that means all of us, all of our children, and our children's students have a chance. No matter what happens, no matter the odds that's against us, that we can achieve much success in this land. And I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, I want to say that the choice is yours. Today, I want to talk about daring to succeed. I know that City of David, this is where dreams come true. This is where all expectations are met by God. God meets your expectations. And I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is so relevant to what I'm going to talk about today. Dreams come true. Now, my question to you is this. Since you know dreams come true, and from biblical stage, you can tell the people's several dreams that have come true. So I'm going to ask you today, can you dare to dream? Can you dare to dream since dreams come true? Next slide. Can you dare to dream? Do you have the ingredients? Next slide, please. Do you have the ingredients for success? How hungry are you to succeed? These are things I want you to think about, as not just as young men and women, as adults also, because it's never too late. It's never too late for us to dare to dream. It's not too late. We all come into this country with all kinds of negatives against us. We don't have papers. We don't have this. We don't have that. What about what you have? You have life. You are here. You are not dead. You can breathe. There's pandemic. A lot of people, I know a lot of people, rich, very, very rich, that have died. Poor that have died. But you are alive. You can breathe. So why can't you not dream? Why can't you dream? Do you have all the obstacles against you and say, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that? Joseph was a slave, for God's sake, in a country, in a foreign country. He was a slave. He was a prisoner in a foreign country. And he became the number 2 man in the most powerful country back then in the world, in Egypt. That was Joseph. So God has not finished working on you in spite of your expectations and in spite of whatever it is that are against you. God is not done with you. And as a young child, as a young man, a young woman, I want you all to dream, dare to dream. To dare, next slide. To dare, according to Webster's Dictionary, it means to have enough courage or confidence to do something, not to be afraid to do something. That's what it means to dare. Can you dare to dream? Not to be afraid to do something. To do something that shows courage. Do you have courage? Ladies and gentlemen, do you have courage? Can you show some courage? Can you dare to dream? We're going to talk about success. We're trying to achieve success in educational pursuits. To succeed in what you're trying to do, to achieve the proper or desired result. That's the meaning of success, to succeed. The next slide, please. For something, when you succeed, that means something has happened in the way you planned it. It gives you joy when you succeed in something. It gives you much joy. What are the ingredients for success? Courage, confidence, difficulty, desire, boldness, planning, the fear of rejection. These are some of the ingredients for success. Can you dare? Can you dare to dream? Is my question to you. Some popular authors have talked about different things. Rejection dares you to succeed. They say success belongs to those who achieve it, who dare to achieve it. If you don't dare, how are you going to ever get there? So success belongs to those who dare to achieve it. Failure is not an option. It's just a process. I've failed many times in my life at a lot of things. I've succeeded a lot more things than I've failed. But every time I fail, for me, it's just another way not to do something. So I move on. I move on. The purpose of a man is not to fall, but to rise each time he falls. You rise. That's what God expects us to do. You rise because we have a God. We don't know tomorrow, but we know the one who knows tomorrow. The best time to expand is when no one dares to take a risk, according to Andrew Carnegie. You all heard about Carnegie Mellon University. This is one of the founders of it, Carnegie. It says, when no one dares to take a risk. For example, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. In this period of pandemic, there's some geniuses that have been born. Some billionaires have been made. Successes have been recorded. The people who created the vaccines, they're all the way smiling in the bank. A lot of people think this vaccine was just created in 1 month ago or 2 months or 1 year ago. No. It's been in the pipelines for the past 10 or so years. They've been thinking about how can they improve the efficacy of vaccines and the way the vaccines are made. How can they improve on them? Technology is such a way now that it's available for you. A lot of these young people are born with technology at the back end. It wasn't always like that. So people are thinking ahead of what is going to happen in the next few years. Are you going to be one of the thinkers? Are you going to be the next Bill Gates in this room? Are you going to be next Warren Buffett? Are you going to be the next Zuckerberg in this room? These young people, are you going to be? Or are you going to say, oh, because my parents cannot do this, I'm not going to be able to do this? Are you going to limit yourself? That's my question to you today. They said, dream no small dreams, for they have no power to move men. Don't dream small. Do not dream small. Dream big. Don't think you can achieve it. It is possible. With God, all things are possible. And you're going to see it in the next slide. It says there's no secret routine. There's no magical number. No sets of, there's nothing. There's hard work. There's confidence. The belief in hard work. They come. Success will come. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you know how tough it is? Just breathe in. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you will be successful. That's what people who have been successful, that's what they say. Only those who dare to fail greatly can achieve greatly. If you dare, you're not afraid to fail. Failure is failure is nothing. It shouldn't stop you from your success. So I'm going to talk to you because I really want you to understand it's important for all these dreams to come from the inside before we start to talk about how to get into the colleges and why you need to get into college. It's got to come from the inside. Can you dare to succeed? Impossible. You know, if you remove I am from impossible, next slide. If you remove I am from impossible, what do you have? You have possible. Okay? So the Bible says with God, all things are possible. So you must dare yourself to succeed. You must stand out from the crowd. In the road to college and academic success, you must stand out. You must decide. You must commit. You must succeed. It is all possible. It is within your power, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, it is within your power. You can do it. You have to dream. As I said earlier, you dare to dream. Obama dared to dream. Next. He dared to dream. And the rest, as we say, is history. Roosevelt said, over 100 and something years ago, he said, far better it is to dare mighty things to win glorious triumph, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much. You're just lukewarm. You don't enjoy much, you don't suffer much. Let me just stay on my own. He says it's better for you to fail and to keep trying than to you to sit down and accept your fate because of your circumstances. What do people do with their lives? Next slide. What do people do with their lives? Some people are spending their lives just consuming and depleting. They're consuming, that's all they do. Some are worried about their lives, not sure about which direction. Some are so worried they don't want to make a move. They are always afraid. I don't know what it is. Oh, this is, a simple thing as taking a vaccine. They say, I don't want to take a vaccine because this is what it is. God created the people that created the vaccines, right? We had a plague. God sends an answer. And everybody's like, no, I don't want to take it. They're going to change my DNA. Okay, you understand? So some people are busy sitting down. Some are busy trying to discover things that will make humanity better. Are you going to be part of those ones? Or are you going to be part of the people that condemn and just sit down there doing depleting? Some are wasting their lives, underutilizing it, bringing about a reduction in the value of something, bringing things down instead of always pumping, pushing to make the world a better place. That's what some people are doing. Some are careless about their lives. They're enjoying. They feel, let me enjoy now, and they don't care about what happens. Some have given up. Some have stopped maintaining. They've caved in. They don't have any hope to continue. That's what a lot of people are doing. But what does God want us to be? It's very important for us. What is the plan of God for us? Next. What God wants us to be like. And I like this Deuteronomy 28 from verse 1 to 4. And when he says, it shall come to pass, if thou shalt diligently seek, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee, that the Lord will set thee on high above the nations of the earth. That will be your Lord in the mighty name of Jesus. And those blessings to come on thee and overtake thee. And if thou shalt hearken to the voice of the Lord, blessed shalt thou be in the city, in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, the fruit of the ground, the fruit of the cattle, the increase of the kind. These blessings are what God wants us to enjoy. So my question to you today is, are you going to follow what God wants for you? He says, go and multiply. That's what God said. Now, God gave us. He didn't give us the spirit of fear. In 2 Timothy 1:7, he says, he did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. That's what God gave us. According to the eternal purpose in Ephesians 3:11 to 12, it says, in whom we have boldness and access with confidence by the faith of him, through Jesus Christ. The faith, we have boldness, we have access. So you should plan to be bold. Do not be afraid. And the Bible recalls in Acts, it says, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived they were unlearned and ignorant men. You know, they were not people who were well schooled. If in today's world, they didn't go to college. Peter and John didn't go to college. We all know Paul was a teacher, so he probably had a PhD in law. So Paul was very learned. But these ones, Peter and John, they were unlearned men. But they were speaking things that were, people were like, is this not the son of this? These are like people who didn't go to school. How come they have so much knowledge? When the word of God comes to you, it opens up your mind and it makes you look like an expert. That's what the word of God does to you. So, some people showed boldness. I want to say, a few people in the Bible that what I'm trying to do is for you to dare to succeed. I want you to dare to dream. I want you to dream because it starts with your dream. You're going to college, starts with a dream. What dream do you have for yourself? Some people showed boldness in the Bible. King David, Queen Esther, Peter and John, Jabez, very bold. Daniel, in the midst of the lions den, he was bold. He was a young man, but he showed a lot of courage and boldness. People, our own time, Dr. Martin Luther King, knowing that his life was in danger, he showed boldness. Mahatma Gandhi, he showed boldness in the face of tyranny. And there are people all over the world now that show boldness everywhere in a lot of countries. The fight against tyranny show boldness. It's going to show boldness. Is my question. Are you going to dare? Jabez was honorable. He adhered to ethical and moral discipline. He did his things well. Jabez was. He was a man whose prayer life was not average. He was very prayerful. Now, I want you all to be a champion. You cannot be a champion if you don't overcome a trial. Whatever trials you're going through, whatever Goliath that is before you, God will level the Goliath. As he did with David, a little guy, conquering a 10-foot giant. Whatever giant in your educational life, I say today, God will level it for you. In every area of your lives, be it in your education, in your work, in your career, God will level all the Goliaths that are seeking to destroy you in the mighty name of Jesus. As champions, we know the source of our philosophy. We use God's ideas to please God. God operates within the confines of his word. God has said it, he must do it. If he said it, he will do it. That is the God that we serve. And the Bible recalls that the Berean Christians, they received the word of God and they went home to check the source. Check your sources. There's a lot of sources available. Check your source. They went home to review the source. I want you to dream big. I want you to dream big. You must have a dream. You must have a vision for your life. Even as young men and women, I want you to dream big. Where do you want to be? In this room may be the best astronauts that this country will ever see. In this room may be members of Congress. In this room may be judges. In this room may be directors. In this room may be senators, presidents. In this room may be governors. All of you. And people listening on the internet. There is no reason why our community should not have these people in our midst. And it starts with you dreaming big. I've had people, if you go and check the dreams of some of the people that became somebody today, when they were young, they had that dream and say, you know what, I want to be this. I want to change the system. I want to be this. So you must dream as a young boy, as a young girl, as a young man, as a young woman. Even as old men and women, you must dream. Dream. God's word will never fall into the ground unless you achieve that which you set to do. You must dream. Dream greater than what you can ever imagine. Then you know God is the one that is in charge of it. Just, dreams. For me, dreams means dedication. Dedication. When you dream, you've got to have dedication. You've got to have responsibility. You've got to be responsible. You have to have education. You have to have the right attitude. You have to be motivated. You have to submit to God your dreams so that it can come true. Because in this church where I am here, this is where dreams come true, where all expectations are met by God. And I'm going to talk to you about the journey to college today. The journey to college is often a very long journey, but starts early. Let me tell you, I have 4 children. As a matter of fact, I have 1 girl and 3 boys. And I'll tell you my story so you can understand. And having 4 children has its challenges and its moments of enjoyment. Though I only have 4 children, but the truth is I have a lot more children than the 4 that I told you. I have a lot more children. I have children everywhere. A lot of states, I have children there. I have children everywhere. My old students, they are considered my children because I have fun with young people. I always have fun because I'm always interested in knowing how can you become better. What gives me the most joy is to see young people overcome all odds. Somebody not doing well in school, but I don't give up on them. And I say, you know what, God, I want you to change this young man. He's not doing so well, but he will do well because you have work for him to do. And a young girl not doing well, and I tell the parents, don't worry, he will change. He will change. The Bible says, teach your child the way they should go, and when they grow old, they will not depart from it. But it doesn't say that they will not be moved by what is going on in the world. Things happen. It happens. A child not doing well academically now can turn out to be one of the best students in that school. It's happened. I've seen it happen in my eyes. There's nothing that gives me more joy other than when young people overcome odds. Because for me, I believe when they say with God nothing is impossible, I really truly believe that with God nothing is impossible. And I want to encourage parents today. Your child may be going through some challenges. It's not the end of the road for that child. And it's not for you to confess negatively and say, oh, this guy is this guy is that. But the truth is this. God gave every single one of these children a peculiar talent. Every one of these children is an expert in something. And it doesn't have to be what you want them to be, which is where we all have issues. What we want our children to be may not be what they want to do, may not be what God wants them to do. So you've got to have a melting point, a lot of communication. What does God want me to do? Because the truth is, a child may be failing in a specific subject. Maybe that's not what he's called to be. And he may be a genius in another subject. But you don't know that. You just think that because this guy is failing in this thing, therefore this guy is dumb, he's not, he's that, blah, or she. So I just want to step back and do a rethink. Sometimes just all you have to do is just to, let's talk. Let's see, God, I need your help. And reach out and ask. There's always help. Now, in the journey to college, let God be your guide. The actors, as I like to say, it's like a play. The students is number one in the journey to college, in the film of college. The parents and the family, the high school counselors, the teachers, these are very critical part of the equation. The extracurricular activities, what you do, your coaches, church, your guardians, what do you do in church? Your social workers, what do you do? How do you spend your spare time as a young girl, a young boy? What extracurricular activity do you do? These things help you in preparing for college in the future. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I have a daughter somewhere in Oregon somewhere. And she had 3 young kids. And the oldest of her child now is 11. But when they were like age 5, 6, she would call me. Pastor, why? This is what I want for my children to be. So therefore, because of this, I'm doing ABCD. I said, okay, this is great. At age 5, age 6. She says this one is likely to end up in the State Department. This one, so because of that, she put her children in different, maybe in Chinese classes, because she said this one is going to the State Department. This is at age 5, age 4. She can see the attribute of the child and say, oh, this guy, now the oldest is about 10 or 11, and he is already, is following a specific path because this is what the parents know them. Do you know your children, guys? Do you know your children enough to be able to say? Yesterday we had a great time, and some of the speakers were saying yesterday, and I enjoyed hearing the parents talk yesterday. And if you didn't attend yesterday's session, I think you should listen to the video. It's extremely very good. I, doing this thing for a long time, I learned, I had fun. I was listening to one of the parents, and your ability to know your child, even as a father, do you know your children? Or are you so busy just providing for them but without really knowing them? These are things that you need to ask yourself. God put you there not just to be giving them or paying for this, but to really, do you know enough about these children? Because what you know would help determine their future, will help to shape their future. Do you know your children? Do you spend time knowing them? Do you listen to them? Or you talk at them? You talk with them? Do you chat? Do you understand? Do you have plays? The journey to college is a very, very important journey. And it starts from when they're young. It starts from the first, second, third grade. It heats up when they get to 9th grade, high school. It doesn't start in 11th grade. A lot of you should know that. It doesn't start in 11th or 12th grade. Or it doesn't start with, oh, see what your mates are doing. Your mates can be doing stuff, but, you know, it's a very complicated process. You need to get involved. You see some of the actors. Now, I'll talk to you about maybe the American college system. So maybe that will help you a little bit. And the American universities of college system, there are two major types, the public schools and the private schools. All of you know University of Maryland, that's considered a public school. University of Delaware, University of Virginia, University of Massachusetts, those are public schools. Then, you know, the private schools, like here, you have Georgetown, George Washington, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, the Ivy Leagues, they're all private schools. Okay, so you have the public schools. The public schools are characterized by, they're funded by the state, and they have large campuses. I want you to understand that because it may affect where your child is going. Is your child one of those people that can thrive in a large environment, or is just a small campus kind of guy or girl? Does he excel, or is she going to excel in a big environment, or is she going to get lost in there? Or is she somebody who wants to find herself in a small college? These are things that you have to start to think about. Because a large campus has its large student population, thousands, and mostly research-oriented, and the major choices. You have a lot of major choices. You have to do A, B, C, D. In a private college, mostly, small campus, maybe like 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people. Where like Harvard, Yale, Princeton has only about 5,000 students. Georgetown probably has about 6,000. GW probably has about 8,000 or something. You know, maybe like Villanova, they have like 6,000 or 7,000. And here you have schools here, maybe like Catholic University here, maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 people around here in DC. So you can understand a college like Hbcus College in Massachusetts, they probably have less than like 3,000 or 4,000, maybe 4,000 students. So I'm telling you this for you to get an idea of what is going on so you understand. Now, yesterday again, we dealt with a lot of these things. And just some background so you understand what it is in the college, world. Some things to consider when you go into college, when you're preparing for college. Okay? Now, standardized testing. Okay? Your standardized testing. When I say standardized testing, that means that everybody here, let's say, assume that this was a classroom filled with everybody that went to different high schools. Okay? Now, I, as an admissions counselor, let's say I'm from Georgetown University admissions office, and I need to pick out of 50 or so people here in this room, I need to pick only about 3 out of 50. So which 3 am I going to pick? And all of you, you come from this high school, and I only need to pick 3 people. And all of you have SATs, let's say 1,600 is the maximum, and all of you have between 14 to 1,600. So how am I going to pick this? How am I going to pick the right 3 people? Because all of you have almost the same, you're in the same eligible category. So that's, admissions is a lot of, it takes people a lot of time, especially in the elite colleges. It takes a lot of work to drill down. It's like a funnel. They come down, a lot of people, then they start to narrow them down. Sometimes some universities, like a lot of the Ivy Leagues, they have like 8 steps of admission, 8 levels. The first one, they cut, then cut, then cut, then cut, then cut, until you get to the funnel U. So how are you going to make sure that you end up at the last candidate? Those are things that I want you to think about. So high school results are very important. What kind of high school results do you have? It's not enough to say I have A in this, I have A in that. What is the rigorosity of the classes that you're taking? How rigorous are the classes? In a class of maybe 20 in your high school, maybe 20, 30 students, okay, you have A's, but so does everybody, half of the class have A. What do you have A in? What are you doing? Are you doing some rigorous classes and you want to do engineering and you're only taking regular maths and you say you have A? But somebody else who's not taking, who's not doing engineering also has A. So why are you standing? But if you have A, or you are doing honors class, or you are doing AP class, you know there are 3 levels of rigorous. First you have the regular classes, then you have the honors classes, then you have the AP classes, and then you have the IB classes. Depends if your school offers the IB program. So how rigorous is your curriculum? If you, as a young boy and girl, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be an accountant, whatever you want to be, and you want to get into the top schools, How rigorous is that? Let me explain to you. The United States of America has the second largest number of schools in the world, colleges in the world. Okay, I think the number one school might be India. I could be wrong, but I think it's US is number 2 anyway. And it has about 4,000 colleges. There are about 4,000. So the truth is, anybody can get into college with a decent result. You can get into any college. There are many colleges. There's a lot of things that affect that anybody. Now, what is important for you to do? Because a lot of us as African parents, sometimes we only know of the top, only the top ones, and we don't even understand what is happening below. And we have this idea that, oh, because you have ACE, you can get into Harvard or Yale or Princeton or Cornell or Georgetown. You understand? You don't know, how do we get there? That's my job, to let you understand. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But you have to start working from now when they're young. You have to start to dream and let the child know. And also you want to know, some children are not conventional also. Some children say, you know what, I don't want to do this stuff. This is how I want to do it. Why? Then your job is to expose them to the best. For example, yesterday at the session, we had some parents that said, oh, the children, they said they don't, one of, very rare, say in his class of like 100, you may have like 3 or 4 that will say, you know what, Dad, Mom, I don't want to go into, I want to go into acting. Okay. I want to go into the police. Okay. How do you want to go into the police? This is what it is. So there's options. Don't think that you don't have options. You're in America, there are options every day. Your job is to ask, knock, you shall find, seek. That's what the Bible asks us to do. So you must continue to ask questions. And again, there's some, for example, my last son, I have 3 sons. The first one, and they're all very active in this area when they were in high school. They all played soccer for their schools, and then they went to college, and they all played soccer for their colleges, and we used to travel all over the country. I've been to Brazil because of my children playing sports. I've been to everywhere. I've traveled everywhere in this country because of them. It cost me money because I have to be traveling with my wife, but we had fun. And even when my father and my mother were alive, they would go with us and we had fun going to all the sports. And I started when we used to live in Lanham, because I didn't know anything about this country then. But, we started and I was seeing what people were doing, and I started to do what they were doing. And I found out that there were very few black parents who were doing what was going on. But it benefited me. When I became the youth pastor at Caleb Crew, I started to teach other young people and teaching them how to get into college and what it is. Because I used to I've been to over maybe 30 or maybe 40 colleges in this country. I've traveled a whole lot. And prep schools, I talked about prep schools yesterday, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I've been to like 20 prep schools in this country. A prep school, something like Georgetown Prep School. I started to inquire about education. I became very interested. Everybody knows me. That if it's education, I'm a civil engineer and I do building, I do construction, I do mortgage. But if you want to get me high, talk about education. I could talk for 20 hours without stopping on education, because that's my passion and I want to see. And I went to the back end of the educational spectrum and studied, what does it take for our children to achieve this much success? What? My journey has taken me I've visited all the Ivy Leagues in this country. I've traveled to all of them in my quest to understand, how can a child, an African child, an immigrant child, dream to get into a top college? How? Why? What do they need? And I started to understand. I was asking the counselors, the admissions counselors, what do they need to make sure that our children can get into these institutions? And I learned a whole lot just listening to them, traveling to them. And I remember when I took my children on the tour, about maybe like 10, 12 years ago, of the Ivy Leagues and some other children in my church and some of my brother's children. And I remember it was just a journey. I didn't know what it was. I heard about the Ivies like everybody else. I said, let me go and see what is in these schools. Why are they so prestigious? Why is it tough to get into them? And by traveling from one school to the other, I said, And I saw the shift in my children's thinking also. Because before then, they say, oh, Dad, why are you going to this place? We know we're not going to these places. Don't you know who goes there? This one, they must have this. They are children of rich people. They must have money. I said, okay. So when we went to this campus, one of the things I asked them, after going to those sessions, I asked my children, you see all these people walking, the white, the Chinese, the Indian, the occasional you see black. Do they have 2 heads? They said, no, Dad. Okay, so you guys, you can be there. That's the first thing I understood. They don't have 2 heads. The people that are going to this place don't have 2 heads. So you can't get there. You just need to dream big. You need to desire and to do the work. Those are the things that I felt I needed. Now, the things that are important for you. The rigorosity, I've talked about rigorosity of your high school curriculum. You must do courses that in your school, you must do, if you want to, especially if you want to get to the top institutions, you must do something that is rigorous, that challenges you. Your essays, very critical. Essays, very critical. When you ask your essays to college, they are critical. Learn to write. That's one of the things that when you go to like a place like a prep school or something, a liberal arts college, writing is a skill that all young people must develop. It's not just getting A in maths and just say, oh, you've done your homework. No, learn to read and to write, because the world, you can change the world by thinking. Somebody like Zuckerberg, like Bill Gates, they all went to prep schools. They started to understand how to think. How do you change humanity? By thinking. So understand, it's not just, oh, getting A's. What are you? How? Why? Who are the people that started the thing? Why did they do it? For example, I've seen somebody in one of these liberal arts colleges, just in my traveling, they have a BA in engineering, Bachelor of Arts in Engineering. Normally, if you go to any of the public schools, it's BSc, Bachelor of Science. But in the liberal arts colleges, there's a BA, Bachelor of Arts in Engineering, Bachelor of Arts in this. A lot of thinking, a lot of writing. So you must understand as a young person, learn to write, learn to think. And that's what a lot of things that I see. For example, that's a lot of major differences I see in the public school and the private school education. The emphasis on reading is huge. And because you know why? It's when you read to understand, you start to write, to think deep intellectually. And these are some, again, it's not for everybody, but I'm just telling you, these are the key ingredients of it. I went to a church about 5-6 years ago, and I was giving a seminar on prep schools. And in a class like this, I mean, in a church like this, and one of the parents, they're asking me questions, and I said, okay, so what are they're asking me a question, how can one get into a prep school? I was saying, okay, ABCD. And I said, what does your daughter do? She said, oh, she reads a lot. Oh, she reads? Oh, I got interested. And I said, how? She said, she reads about 5 books, or 6 books in a month. I'm like, really? Whoa, this girl, she was only about, maybe about 11 or 12, I don't remember. But she said, I'm like, whoa, wow, this girl reads that much? I said, wow, this girl definitely needs to go to some top school where they can. And I left, and I forgot. And maybe several months after, I found out that the parents, I told them what to do, the roadmap. Because I give a roadmap. And I found out that the girl had gotten into one of the top prep schools in the country, in Massachusetts. They had given her $65,000. This prep school is $65,000 a year. This is a secondary school. It's called prep school, secondary. They gave this girl $65,000 a year scholarship for 4 years. That's like $250,000. The girl now is in college. She's going to, they give her internship. The girl is like, I know her career is, her path is going to be like this. But it was just from simple information like this. So some people use it and they make the best of it. My prayer is that you use whatever information you get today to become better. That today you've learned something new. And to always understand. I don't claim to have all the answers. Please don't quote me. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you my experience. And I've seen lives change by these little things. Your quest for knowledge must be high. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it is possible. And also, your teacher recommendations are very important as you get to college. You need to understand. Your teachers, don't disdain your teachers. Teachers are human beings, they have feelings. Don't disdain your teachers. You must do your work on time, and you must be able to get a feedback, positive feedback from your teacher. I've seen some students who have excellent grades, because I talk to counselors on the back end also. And I've seen people with excellent grades, and the recommendation from their teacher is horrible at best. And they cannot get into any of the top schools, but they have the grades. They have the SAT, everything, but when they see their teacher recommendation, it's almost like, well, if I were you, yeah, okay. You know, that's the kind of thing. So when you see that, you're never going to know because the teacher will send it to the school directly. So you need to be nice to your teachers. Teachers don't get paid a lot. They put a lot of their life into the work of the children, but they don't get appreciation. So as parents, learn to appreciate the teachers of your children. A simple email, hello, Mrs. Joe, thank you for teaching Belumi. Thank you for being, she says good things about you. Is there anything you want us to improve? A simple thing like that. Please be in the habit of being in the life of your schools. Don't just drop them in school and then go away. Parents, take more active roles in the lives of these children in the school life. It's very important to be part of it. Be part of the PTA. Do something for them. Do something for somebody else. Some other child may benefit. A lot of people they come from single family homes. Perhaps you're a father. You may be a father to another child or the friend of your child. Perhaps you may be. So take an active role. Do something positive for somebody else, and you'll see the result. It benefited me. When I started to do something for other people's children, my children got a whole lot of benefits from it. So that's what I'm. And there's a lot of opportunities. When you want to check into college, check into colleges that have opportunities that are peculiar to what you want. For example, you may be an international student. You may not have papers here. Look at colleges that are favorable to those kind of candidates. And the information is available. You don't have papers, you are a DACA student, you are this one, you are that. There's some colleges that give special benefits to those classes. And they may not be locally. In Maryland, for example, I was talking to parents about, somebody sent me some parents about 3-4 years ago. And they came to me and I was talking to the parents, because I like to talk to parents, then I talk to the children. And I was asking her. So he said, me. He said, where are your children going to go? She had a set of twins and they're very bright girls. And he said, oh, they're going to University of Maryland. I said, why? I said, I don't think I have any money. I don't think I have any other money for them. I said, no, that's the wrong way. I said, no. Why do they have to go to University of Maryland? They may go, but don't limit their options. So I started to teach him. And the bottom line is this. After talking to the parents, and after going and seeing exactly what it is I told them to do, they became more interested. The girls, 2 of the girls who were twins, they are in 2 private universities now. They got a lot of scholarships. One is at Benadryl, the other one is at Case Western Reserve University. None of them were University of Maryland. But bottom line is this, there's nothing wrong with going to University of Maryland, but suppose the girls had better options elsewhere. The bottom line is to go to college, you need money. And if you are getting opportunities at these other places, it may be better for you. What I'm just trying to say is, don't limit the option of the children. A lot of times, the children have ideas of what they want to do, where they want to go. Your job is to help them to make informed and reasonable decisions. Sometimes they cannot make because of their ages and because of their exposure, but your job is to seek help for them and to all together, you, the children, make a decision that is best for the family, because ultimately it's a family decision. So opportunities, so those are the kind of things. And then there's a post that I put a link in there that is good for, it's just good for you to we do what we call college visits. Of course, because of the pandemic, a lot of things are not possible now, so because of the pandemic. But I encourage parents to do college visits a whole lot. You understand? And you learn a whole lot when I visited, like I told you, I visited over 40 campuses. It's very important for you to go to there. If you're going to go to a school there, all the schools that my children went to, I visited them with the children. Funny enough, my last born, I was telling parents yesterday, I normally have, from my firstborn to my third born, I have a boy, girl, boy, boy. And then the boy, he had about 20, 25 applications when it was time for college. I made him feel, and everybody's like, Dad, my friends only do about 5. How come I am? I said, how come? Don't worry. This is in my house. This is what you're going to do. And we fought, but eventually they all understood. So my daughter, she did about 25 also. When my son got his admissions and he got into about, out of 25, maybe he got into about 10, he was happy. When my daughter did her own and she got into about 13 or about 20, 24 schools, she was very happy. And then my third born, the same thing. My last born, he was a little bit different. He went to a prep school because I started to teach, and I was able to take advantage of the fact that he got an excellent education at a prep school in Pennsylvania. So he went to a boarding school. So he was there. When he graduated, he said, Dad, I'm not going to do this. I'm only going to do one school. I said, if they don't take you there, you are toast. He said, Dad, I'm going to take one school. And he, very bold, but very confident, he applied to only the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis. I said, you know, the acceptance rate is less than 5%. I said, Dad, I'm going to get in. Don't worry. And by God, he got in. He's going to graduate this year because he's in the final year. He's a senior now. So he was the only one. But all of the other ones, 25, 24, 22 applications, that's what it is. But again, he was a little bit different. He said this is what he wanted. He knew what he wanted. So he's gone to the academy. So he's going to graduate as a military officer. So every child is different. God gave every one of these children a gift. They're experts in something, but your job is to discover that thing that they can be experts in. They may be going to NASA. I was reading recently about a lady who came from Ghana. She's probably one of the best scientists in this country now. And she's from Ghanaian descent. And she's discovering some very, very, very innovative technologies for NASA and everything. So it is possible, my dear people. Now, the average tuition, next slide, the average tuition and fees in colleges. I want you to look at what we're showing on the slide. And, you know, we're going to be rounding up very soon because I want you to be able to ask questions. The average tuition and fees in ranked colleges. You can see A private university has about 35,000. Tuition. There are three elements to school fees. Well, three major elements. Then there's some other ones. Number one is tuition. Number two, room. Number three, board. And then you have all the other stuff, books and all the other little things that come with it. So tuition, room, and board are the major components of college. Again, then you have some other fees, administrative fee, something fee, athletics, whatever. You add all those things. But these are the major things are this. And by the time you look at, this is only tuition. Room and board, you add another, for the elite colleges, you add another $24,000, 12,000, approximately, or 10, 12, whatever. So add 24,000 to this 35,000. You have like $60,000. That's the average for a private school. Average. The top schools, let me give you an idea so you understand. Go to the next slide. Yeah, excellent. You see, this slide that you're looking at, okay, has the top 100 institutions in America. The top 100 ranked institutions, according to, I think is U.S. News and World Ranking. They have a system that they rank colleges. This is the top institutions in America, top 100 best universities, ranked by tuition. So if you see what it is, let me go to the next graph, because that you can see. You see, in this graph that I put yellow for some of the colleges that a lot of our children go to around here. So I just put yellow. You look at it. Look at George Washington. They're ranked number 70, I think. GW is ranked number 70, and the school fees is 56,000 tuition. By the time you add room and board, you have like 70 something. My son went to my third born. He went to GW. He played soccer for them. He's now a professional soccer player for some team in Phoenix. But when he graduated from GW, he started playing soccer because he did economics. We said that because he was very good in soccer, and up to now he's a professional. So we watch him on TV on ESPN, but that's what he wants to do. So, but he graduated in economics. So we said, okay, you want to play sports? No problem. Just make sure you graduate. So he graduated, and then he went to play sports from college. They just drafted him, immediately finished. Yeah, 4 years ago he graduated, and then they just took him straight off. And then so he's playing for another team now. So that's his own desire. He wants to play. After that, then maybe whatever he wants to do, but we support him. You understand? Now, and at GW, it was like $75,000 then for his school fees. But he got scholarship for like 40, maybe like 50,000. So we only started with like maybe 18 or 19 or something like that. Now look at Georgetown University is number 24, and they come in at 56,000. By the time you add room and board, almost like 70,000 also. So the average score, look at Yale. Yale is number 3. Yale is number 3 college in the country, and the school fees is about, if you add about 20-something thousand, that's about $75,000. So come to look at Villanova. When my first son went to Villanova, at Villanova, and again, this came from going to college visits. That's how I discovered all the schools. At Villanova, we're paying 50-something thousand then for everything. Now, it's like 70-something thousand. Look at Johns Hopkins, which is right around here, just a backyard. It's about 70-something thousand. So every school you find in here, MIT, look at MIT is number 3. MIT is number 3 college in the country with like about 70-something thousand also. So you can see all the schools are the same. NYU is about 80 grand, because I have a couple of students that are there now. I have a couple of parents who have, some of my students are there at NYU. Harvard, number 2 college in the country. Harvard, the school fees, the tuition is 52,000. By the time you add all this stuff, that's another 70-something thousand. Princeton is number 1 university in the country. Princeton is at 52,000, almost the same thing, just a few $100. They get some change from Harvard. So they're always fighting. Harvard, Princeton, Yale, they're always fighting to be number 1, number 2. But that's what it is. But look at University of Maryland College Park. $10,000 is the tuition for in-state. In a private university, what I want you to understand is, in a private university, the school fees is only 1. At Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Georgetown, any of these things I'm telling you is 1 school fees, 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 grand. That's the same thing. Now, in a public university, there are 3 categories. In-state, for example, any of you live in Maryland, you want to go to University of Maryland, that's in-state. Then there's out of state. If I live in Virginia, I want to come to Maryland, then I'm out of state. So I pay out of state fees. Then the third category, international. If you're international, then you pay the highest level. Do you understand? So there are 3 levels for a private school, but for a public school, for a private school is 1 fee. You go to Georgetown, it's the same fee. Go to Villanova, it's the same fees, 1 fee, okay? So those are the major things. Now, having looked at all these things, this is 50, at least on average, Even though I said 60,000, but the truth is some of these colleges are like 70-something. You've seen it from your list. You can Google everything I'm telling you. So again, these things change from time to time. But the good news is I see, even though it's been rising in the last few years, but I see that there's been a drop because of pandemic. The pandemic actually brought down some things. So anyway, what do you need for the application process? The application process, okay, the form itself, you have to learn how to fill that. That's the skill set you have to develop. You have to develop, like I said before, essays are important. Your transcript and your school profile from your school counselor. Your school profiles are important. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please learn to be productive in your schools. Don't just sit down there and go to school and start to waste your time. Dream big. Dare to dream, guys. You understand? Learn to build a good profile so that your school will know that somebody has gone through that school. You understand? So let your school know that, Chris, that this guy, Chris, oh man, when he was here, he was ABCD. Be useful to your community, guys. Don't just be sitting down and do nothing. The schools have a lot of facilities. All our schools they're funded by federal government and state government and local government, and they have a lot of facilities. Please take advantage of them. Parents, know what your facilities are in your children's schools and help them. Okay? So your test scores, in the last 1 year, because of all the pandemic, there's some things changed. I've talked about recommendation letters. Then learn to build a resume. Like I told you, my children all had resumes because they were very active in, my daughter used to run. She went to Princeton. She used to run at Hummingbird in Hyattville. We used to drive. We used to live in Ashton in Montgomery County. I used to drive all over like 3 or 4 times a week. She went to Good Counsel, and we used to drive a lot just to go and practice at Hummingbird where she ran track. And so it took a lot. And my boys used to play soccer everywhere. We used to drive all over the whole place. Pay the price, guys. You enjoy the benefits. Pay the price. Whatever extracurricular that your children want to do. Is it band? Is it music? Is it acting? Is it writing? Is it photography? Let them pick up something and become expert in it. Don't just sit at home and be watching TV you don't get credit for watching TV. But you can get credit for being a photographer, even as a young guy. You get credit for being an expert in music. You get credit for writing. You get credit for playing soccer, for playing football, for playing lacrosse. Whatever you want to do, you get credit for it. But you don't get credit for watching TV. So boys and girls, you don't. I went to a friend of mine. I have a friend of mine who has twins also, smart girls. And I visited them, and I was very impressed. Let me tell you, they're almost going to college now. And I went to their house, somewhere in Potomac, and I was mighty impressed that these girls were not spoiled. And the girls, they were doing very well in the schools, the results were very excellent. But also, they were doing business. These girls were selling their clothing online for 50. I saw their rack of clothing. They were making clothes in their house. The father gave them one room. And they had machines. They had machines and cutter and table. And they were producing their own. They were producing clothing to sell, and people were rushing. They had too much order. They were busy. They were in school. But they were selling the rack. I saw the rack. I'm like, the guy said, oh, all these things that you're looking at is $50. He said, I even begged them to reduce. He said, no, Dad, no, please. You have too much demand. These are 16, 17-year-olds who are doing business. And the father is, the father and the mother, they're decently wealthy people, but they didn't let it get into their head. The girls are doing business. And I was mighty impressed. Guess what? When they want to go to college, that skill set that those girls have, it's a tool. If I were a college admissions counselor, I would admit them in the elite colleges because they have all the tools. They have the grades, so they have the brains, they have the skill set. They're doing something else. They're selling. They have a website. They're selling online. God, my God, if that doesn't impress you, then what will? I'm telling you, I was mighty impressed. I'm like, whoa. I travel a lot and I meet parents, and I'm always impressed with what kids do. You have the power in your hands, young men and women. Don't just sit down. You have the power to do things. When I saw the rack at least you have over 100 or 200 dresses that these girls have made, and they're selling online. I said, Dad, we can't even meet our order. And they're in school. They're doing those, and they're doing internships here. They're doing those. They're not wasting their time. I'm like, whoa, this is a great ingredient. By the time they write the resume, they're ready for college. They're going to college maybe this next year, and I can guarantee you they will go into some of the best colleges. That's what I'm trying to say. So you need to do something, young women and men. Don't just sit down and say, and waste your time on TV and things that will not produce any results for you. I have seen it happen in young people, so I know it can happen in your life. Amen? And what has changed because of the pandemic? Well, there's a lot of remote learning. Guess what, guys? There's a lot of extracurricular activities now have been cancelled. SATs have been cancelled. The good news is part of what I found. I have a couple of friends whose children got benefits from this pandemic. You know how? They didn't have to do SAT or ACT because a lot of the schools are now what's called test optional. And because you couldn't do ACT and SAT, they canceled it because of the pandemic. So they got into schools that normally I'm like, oh, wow, this is great. So pandemic has borne some good results for some people. Always, you know. So, so now the AP exams are online. A lot of people can't visit the campuses, so they have to do online, you know. Now, of course, children get Zoom fatigue. They want to see their friends, they want to feel and touch and play and stuff like that. So that's a lot of fatigue. And there's a shift in dynamic of friends. Now, your friends, you haven't seen them in 1 year. So I know the schools are getting back to normal now, especially the elementary and the middle school, because it's important for you to be able to build friendships and stuff like that. Now, but guess what? The children have more time with their family. Now, you guys understand what the teachers go through in the classroom, because when your child is in class, you can have a taste of what they do in school. So it's a good thing for family bonding. It's a good opportunity. Some parents are almost stressed out. But guess what? It's a good opportunity for you to learn and to sow into your child's life. So the pandemic, as crazy as it sounds, gives you an opportunity to bond more with your children, because now you can understand what challenges they go through. And you can get them help. People, it's not always, you may not have all the answers, but trust me, somebody has gone through your stuff. Now, what must you do to remain relevant? Okay? What must you do to remain relevant? You must communicate often to know the challenges of your children. Talk to them. Pray for them as much as they allow. Pray for them. Pray with them. They need it. You need it. As a family unit, you need it. Pray with them. That God will bring their dreams to come true. That all the plans that they have for themselves, God will actualize those plans for them. So offer suggestions to them. Okay? Ask a lot of questions. Ask them. Allow them to grow. These children are brilliant. A lot of them are geniuses in different areas. Allow them to grow. Don't push down their dreams because what you think. Everybody's not going to be a doctor. Everybody's not going to be a nurse. Everybody's not going to be a lawyer. Everybody's not going to be an engineer. Some people are going to be teachers. And that's going to be mighty fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are going to be administrators. Some people are going to work in the government. So everybody's not going to do what you think because of your fear. It's a fear of, oh, I don't want my children to not do this. Therefore, I'm afraid. So let's just understand that. Don't force them, but work with them. Some may be the best teachers this world will ever see because they sit in this room. So learn to understand, what do your children want to do? Please learn to understand them. Okay? Encourage them with your advice. And ask for help. Always ask for help. I work with a lady called Ayo. Oseni Ayo. I'm sure that your pastor knows her. I work with her. We started doing this about maybe like 10 years ago or something. And she's so great with college advice. She's so great with college follow-up. Like parents need help. For example, when we were growing up, you guys may not know it, a lot of us have issues with our subjects. Our parents would get us teachers in maths, in physics, in chemistry, whatever. In Nigeria, we used to get all these things. So the same thing you have to do here. If your children need help, get help. Get help for your children. Yes, it may cost you something, but guess what? You're sowing to reap. You're sowing to reap. So if they need help, don't just talk down to them. Do like what your mates. Sometimes get help. Get help. There's help. There's free help available. For example, what you call this thing online? I forgot this site that I normally used to send my children online. There's no, not fast. No, I'm saying the online help for children. It helps them with their work and understanding subjects. I forgot. Khan Academy. God bless you. It started about 15, 20 years. Khan Academy. So there's help available, and there's physical. Sometimes your daughter, your son may just need somebody that you get in from outside. Yeah, you get help. Like I said, this lady I work with, Ayo, she's normally very good. We get help. I say, Ayo, this is what I need. Go and find it. You find a teacher. Wow, this parent needs a teacher in physics. Just help them. Me, I don't, you just do the research. Because I have a lot of stuff I'm doing, but she's excellent with, very, very detailed, and she'll give you when it's deadline and blah, 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 blah. So get help. There's help is what I'm trying to say. So you can get help. You can have help on like the parents were saying yesterday, Google it. There's help available. Most of what you need is within your finger, but you must reach out, okay? And don't think you're alone. You're not the only one. Everybody has issues when they raise their kids. Now, Finally, I ask all of you to be sympathetic to one another, to love one another, to be compassionate, and to be humble. A lot of times, don't repay evil with evil. People have done you wrong. It's important because I want you to sow into the lives of your children. This is what they're going to be in campus. They're going to be living with people they don't know. Learn to love. Learn to show love. Even when people have hurt you, don't repay evil with evil. I want to say, be kind and be compassionate to one another, as Christ did. As you forgive people, forgive as He forgave us. I went to one of my children's schools, and I saw this on one of the walls. A school that is like over 150 years old. It says in Philippians 4:8. It says, "Finally, brethren." I was surprised. That's the school that my last born went to, in the Hill School, like I said, in Pennsylvania. I saw it on the wall, written in stone. And it says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are noble, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there's any virtue, if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things." So that's what I'm going to say to you today. I want to say, if you have any questions, please, I want you to dare to succeed today. And I want to say thank you once again to Pastor Abe for having me. I pray that God will continue to bless you. And I pray that every one of you here, that whatever Goliath is in your way, God will level every mountain in the mighty name of Jesus. That shall be well with you. Your quest to college, some people here will go to the best colleges in this country, that they will become beneficiaries of whatever scholarships that are available. And there's a lot of scholarships. Whatever scholarships are available, that you and everyone listening at the sound of my voice, that God will honor you. That whatever you seek to find, you will do well in it, and that you will succeed. Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I ran over my time. And if you have any questions, please, you can ask any questions. Thank you very much.
I believe they have questions. So we still have time.
Okay.
15 minutes for questions from parents, students. Questions about concern. Yes, Sister Shala.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. He's always, see what you said, he's always wanted to be an engineer. Okay? And that's the key ingredient in everything you've said. He's always wanted. So he has a desire. He may be at Howard Community College now. Fantastic. Guess what? All he has to do, okay? They have some great aeronautic engineering programs. All right? I'm not sure about University of Maryland if they have that, but there's a lot of, all you have to do is to find out the research on the best aeronautical engineering schools in the country. And he can, if he does well where he is now, and he takes the hard classes, and he does excellent, he can transfer to any of those colleges. I had one of my students that transferred from one school, and they transferred to one of the Ivy Leagues to study engineering, but they were very good, they were excellent. So just because you go to community college doesn't mean that you cannot get into any of these top schools. You can. It's a little bit, it's a different path, but it's possible. So my advice to you, to your son, is, you know what, let him become the best in that Howard Community College. And I'm telling you that also you should apply to the top programs in aeronautic engineering. There's some scholarships available. And also I know there's even one HBCU that offers, I think it was Tuskegee or something, that offers scholarship for a very bright African-American children who are smart. He can almost go to school for free. So you have options. It's not every school that offers aeronautical engineering, but if that's what he wants to do, then by God's grace, let him push into there. He may be in the space, he may be a serious engineer in the next 10 to 20 years. So please, my advice for you is don't cut short his dream. Let him seek for help. Okay, seek for help. He can get to his journey. He definitely can. But it starts with him. He has to do well. That's a very difficult space. Aeronautical engineering, very few black people in that space, But it is possible. It can become one of the top ones. It can become one of the top ones. So, and I'm excited because he said he's always wanted to be. That's a great ingredient for me. So just tell your son to keep up the fight and to do well, and then expand your course. Let him look at the top universities and apply to those ones. You understand? And I tell you, guarantee you, as a young black man, there's scholarship waiting for you from somewhere. Somebody, God opens the right doors. You have the vision, God provides the provision for that vision to come to pass. Okay? Please ask any questions concerning anything. Please don't hold anything back. And when I say ask questions, I'm also asking the young people also. If you're a young person and you really you have a question you want to ask, please don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Yes, please ask. I want to hear from the young people because these are my constituents. I want to know what's going on. They keep me abreast of what's going on in their world.
Okay, I just want to say thank you, sir, for everything you said today. You really inspired me.
Amen.
And I just want to ask about extracurricular activities and volunteer opportunities. So now that the pandemic has come to us, do you think like colleges will be more considerate about extracurriculars and volunteer opportunities?
Excellent. Okay, very good. You see, extracurricular activities, like I told you earlier, I have 4 children that have been through college, and all of them did extracurricular activities. All of them did. It's something I strongly encourage every parent to. So yes, colleges, in despite of the pandemic, there's some extracurricular activities. Of course, a lot of them have been shut down because you really can't do anything. But there's a lot more opportunities that are available. Now, in the last 1 year and this year, extracurricular activities, the colleges may not take too much, because if you haven't done it, they may not be so they biased towards it. Every college wants you to do something that is positive. So, but guess what? Going forward, because everybody's getting vaccinated and the vaccine will seem to die down within the next 1 year, that's going to change. So if you're in the 11th grade now or 12th grade, my advice to you is this: even though you may not be doing the extracurricular activity that you do, but take part in something else. You could be doing something remotely, just like we do here. You could be doing internships. You could be working somewhere. You could be doing something that is extracurricular. You're doing an internship somewhere. For example, you want to study medicine and you're working at a cancer institute for free. You're working at a hospital. You're doing something else for somebody. You're doing something that makes sense. You understand? So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be there physically. You can be doing stuff. You're doing research. You're a research fellow at Johns Hopkins, or you're volunteering at your church. You are doing ABCD. What are you doing? So there's a lot of things you can do. You're writing a program for a church to make the teenage church better. You've written a program and you sold it to your pastor, and your pastor bought the idea. Now your church is benefiting from it. So it doesn't have to be, you'll be surprised. What are you doing within your local community? How are you making your community better? So it's possible for you to do something now, and that will be part of your resume. This is what I've done. I've done A, I've done B, and because you did it, you're not lying. Because sometimes parents come to me and give recommendation, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to recommend what I know about your child. I'm not going to lie. If I see what they do in church, then I can write confidently. So this guy has done ABCD. But if you don't do anything, what am I going to write about you? I don't want to lie about you. So I want you to do something. Same thing with your teacher's recommendation. What do you do in class? If all you do is just sit and make noise and make trouble, so if I want to be nice because I like you, I will not say anything about you. But that's as bad as not. If I don't write with enthusiasm about your college application, what good is that application? What good is it? Do you understand? But I say, well, I know her. Yeah, she's okay. That's like a horrible recommendation. You understand? That tells a lot of stories. My not saying too much has said too much. You get it? So you need to excel. You need to always show something. And you can always ask, what can I do? How can I become better? That's it. Okay? All right. Do you have any other questions?
So I have a question. Yes. And can you just shed more light on the prep school things?
Okay, excellent. Okay, now, I'll talk, because that's, for me, again, that's a whole different thing. Now, a prep school, yesterday I talked about it briefly. About 20 years ago, maybe you understand my story. One of my friends in church at Jesus House then, her daughter went to Sidwell Friends, which was a prep school in DC, a day school, Sidwell Friends. So I was asking her, how did your daughter get into this school? And that was like 20-something years ago, So, and it was then I started to understand, oh, so these schools are available. Oh, say, how much is this? School fees is this. How are you affording to pay? Yearly, I'm not paying it. The girl is getting scholarship. I said, really? Okay. So then why is it different? Now, then I started to learn more about prep schools. And I looked around here. Like, for example, you have, in this area, you have some in Bethesda, like I said, you have Georgetown Prep, you have Bullies, you have St. Albans, you have Cedar French, you have St. Andrews, you have some of the schools here. They're pretty expensive. But I started to understand, why are they expensive? Why are schools, high schools, costing more than colleges? Why? Like the Georgetown Prep here, and Georgetown Prep, a lot of you probably just driving there, understand what I'm saying? Georgetown, why is it costing like $60,000 to take your child there? And I was wondering, I started to inquire, then I understood. A lot of what happens, you see, in those prep schools, what I found, the curriculum choices that the kids have is crazily numerous. It's fantastic. So a child may have up to 60 classes that they can do, and they will become proficient in it. And I'm like, wow. And then, again, there's a huge emphasis on reading and writing. You cannot go to a prep school and become, you understand? You're going to work hard, you're going to read, you're going to be deep because there's a requirement. And because I started to understand. Now, let me tell you something. Why is it important? Again, it's not for everybody, but from a young age, if you know what you want to do, your children, a lot of our children can qualify. There's so many opportunities. I knew about it, so my last 2 children benefited from it. The first one, I didn't know about it as much then, but the last 2 benefited from it. So again, one of them went to the Hill School. Another went to the to Bullies. So they benefited from it, and they gave them some scholarship. At the prep school that my son went to, my last one, the one I told you at the Naval Academy, it cost about when it was good, like $55,000 or something, about 5 years ago or so. So, but they gave him his scholarship like 40-something thousand. You understand? But he was a very active student also. He played soccer for them. He was very active. So they gave him like 40-some thousand. So I only paid about maybe like $12,000 or $13,000, something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, what I'm saying is, now, the quality of education, let me tell you something. A lot of the top colleges in this area and in the country, they have what you call a farm system. You see, a lot of what I'm telling you are things I learned from the back end. It's not something you're going to read about a lot of time. But if you do a lot of research, you get it. Now, from the back end, a lot of these top schools, they pick students from what you call a farm system. You know, a farm, you reap every time. You sow, then you take some. So the top colleges go and pick students from the schools on a yearly basis. Do you understand? So because of that, they have all the schools that they pick all their students from. Then they pick one here from maybe this public high school, they pick from here. Let me give you a simple statistics. Again, this is by itself, it's something just from my own research, I found out that for the Ivy League admissions, 0.01% of the kids that go to public high school get into them. 0.01. That means maybe 2 out of 1,000. If you have 1,000 in a big public high school, maybe you have like 2 people who go to an Ivy League. Then maybe another 3 will go to maybe a Georgetown. Then maybe another few will go to like a Duke or North Carolina or something. Then majority will go to the state schools. I was just doing some research. I'm like, wow. But in a prep school, between 25 to 33% go to the top schools. That's what I found out. Of course, they're smaller numbers. In an average prep school, I've traveled to like 20 of them. Because I used to bring students from Nigeria. And it's interesting. My journey learning about prep school, I learned, funny enough, I learned some here, but I did more research when I was in Nigeria. And I was helping to bring students of regular people. There's this program that I ran called the MTN Football Scholar. It was one of my pastors that said, oh, Yele, you know about children, come and run this program. And I ran the program in Nigeria then, and the program was bringing in young boys who could play soccer, who also were smart, bringing them to colleges in America. And I found out that bringing the kids from Nigeria to America, there was a gap because they were not ready for colleges in America. So where would I put them? So one of my guys, I took some, a couple of boys who, from here, who went to some prep schools here. I took them to Nigeria. Caucasians. So I had like about 2 or 3 of them. They're working with me in Lagos. I took them first time in Africa, and then so they were telling me about, oh, this is prep school, this is what you need to do. And so I was preparing my boys in Nigeria. I would go and travel all over all the states in Nigeria, go through like 5,000 boys. I'll pick only about 5. We'll go through, it's a very gross process. And 5 will bring them into America, into the prep school. And I was able to get insight into the prep school. I was like, wow, this schools have been there for 200 years. I'm bringing children of poor people from Nigeria, they couldn't afford the flight. My organization, we paid for them to come here because they couldn't afford anything. And we brought them from there into $60,000, $50,000 prep schools for free. And the people opened their doors. The prep schools were so nice. They opened their doors because they said, okay, we need some more minority students who are good, who are useful students. So that's what got me into it. And I started to understand, these schools have been there for hundreds of years. So that's what it is. So they act as a farm system for a lot of the top schools. People go there. So that's what got me into it. So it's they have some admissions that they do, and a lot of children. If you have a particularly smart daughter or son who has some skill set, it's a very good opportunity to expose them to excellent education, and also it opens doors for them. It opens doors for them because the people they meet in there and the relationships they build in there opens doors for them to go to top colleges. And again, it's not for everybody. Remember, like I said, every child is different. I have 4 children, and they're all as different as the sun is different from the moon. They're all different. So everybody is different. Some kids are not like, some people are smart. Like I told you, the guy that I told you that whose child was reading 5 books. Everybody is different. Every child is different. Your job is to see the best in your child and to push them to the best place. Some people, like I was telling to a parent yesterday, one of the parents says, I want to be an actor. So the best is push them into the school that will make the best actor in the world. That's what we want. So every child is different. So let them dream. Our job is to help them to bring their dream to actualization. So again, I'll provide more information on prep schools if you want to at some point. So do you have any other questions? I hope I answered your question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
AP classes in school?
Speak. Okay.
Oh,
Speak.
do you have to take AP classes in school?
In school?
Yeah.
Excellent question. Do you have to take AP classes in school? Let me tell you something. AP classes, while they are not mandatory, but if you want to go somewhere in life, and they say, for example, they say for you to drive on the way, you need to get a driver's permit, right? So if you want to get a driver's permit, for you to get a driver's permit, you need to know how to drive. So if AP class is something that you need to know, you need to do to get to the next level. Of course, the truth is it compulsory? No, it's not compulsory, but it helps your life a whole lot. It opens doors for you. If you do AP classes, a lot of the colleges, they waive, if you do very well in them, some of the courses, they can even waive you from the introductory classes and you can go straight into it. And they use it to admit people. If, for example, look, if you want to go, it depends. If you want to go to a competitive college and you have 2 of you, you have a 4.5 GPA, let's say she has say 4.5 or 4.3, but she has 4 AP classes, you are doing nothing. Who will I take? It's her, without even thinking. It's her. So you make yourself more competitive when you do those classes. You understand? So it's tough. Remember I told you start from the regular classes, the honors classes, the AP classes, and then if you have IB classes. So those are they're rigorous classes. They're like college, like IB classes are AP, there's like college level classes sometimes. So there's a very tough. So they want to see how tough you are. So yeah, you don't have to, but definitely, of course, not in my house. My children all took AP classes. They had no choice. You understand? They had no choice. I just made sure, guy, if you want to go to a good school, you better take it. So they all took AP, and even one of them took IB classes. So it's not an option. But again, it's up to you. If you want to dream big, then you dream big. It's tough, but you work hard. So yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Do they opt? Fantastic. Okay, now let me tell you something. The educational system is not perfect. Under normal conditions, my children picked the AP classes that they wanted at the schools that they went to. Some schools don't allow specific kind of individuals to do AP because they feel that they will mess up the record of the school. So now, there's a lot of politics in the back end sometimes. But if your child, and you're confident that your child is smart enough, you can go demand, I want my child to take AP calculus. I want him to take AP history. I want to take AP government. I want to take AP whatever. You may have to insist. But guess what? If you don't play a role, you don't take a part in that child's, in the school, you don't even know what's going on. They will push your child to whatever they think. Because you know why? They don't want to mess up the records. So, sometimes excuse me, a black child, they may not have the capacity to take this class. Don't let's mess up. Let's push them to, let them just go and do regular. It's better for them to keep up. So these things happen in the educational sector. You must play a part. Say, no, my child, I want her to take this one. Yes, of course, you can insist on that. You can. So
I think it depends on individual county. In Howard County, where I live, and I know that's where you live also, there is the regular class, there is honors class, there is GT, which is the gifted and talented students class, and there is happy class. Now, if your child is doing, is doing just the regular class, it will be tough for him or her to jump from regular class to AP class. The honors class is much more rigorous than the regular class. The GT is for gifted and talented students. It's more rigorous than the honors. And the college level classes. So I think the first thing for us to do is, and I believe in Howard County, from the 5th grade, either 5th or 4th grade, I can't really remember. Yet 4th grade, you have to take an exam. So if the child passes the exam, then he or she is qualified for the for the GT class, the gifted and talented class. But I've seen a student that says, oh, she got into high school, she wants to do AP class. I said, are you sure you can do it? He said, yes. And she moved to AP class. And when she got into the AP class, it was extremely rigorous. Fast-paced, rigorous, tough, and she can't really cope. So we have to go in there and talk to the counselor so that she can step back to the regular class. So you can't just jump. And also, when they are filling their the classes for the next session, we have done that. I believe it was about 2 or 3 months ago. We have done that for next year. The issue is, were you with your children to complete those classes together? We sit down together, we complete the classes. Also, it is subject to the approval of the counselor. But before the counselor drops them, since you are part of your children's life, they will come to you. You go back to them and discuss with them. Praise the Lord. I think Sajila has a question.
excellent. Yeah.
You also have to know your child, okay? Because one of my daughters, I knew how she is. She's very focused and she's very, she knows, So when it came to that GT, when she was going to middle school, I spoke to the teacher. She did take that test, and she didn't qualify for GT for one of the classes. But I knew, because I know her, and I know what she's capable of and how she can do in the math class, GT, I spoke to the school, and they allowed her to take the class, and she so far straight A. So you also have to make sure you know your child, make sure you know she's capable of doing it, and also, make sure you know she's capable of doing it, and also you have to speak to the school too as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have a question. Oh. Is there any? Okay, Ayo.
I was going to ask a question earlier on, does the choice of school you go to, is it a criteria jobs look at, like when they're about to select candidates?
For jobs, you said that's after graduation. Excellent questions you guys are asking. So in short, what is the impact of your school that you go to? Now, that's, I'll give you a quick story on that. Okay? The school you go to, does it affect you? Obviously, it does. In a lot of subtle ways. It affects sometimes. About 12 years ago, or 15 years ago, there was this guy who then was the county, I don't know, you remember Glenn Ivy? Glenn Ivy, he was PG County, what do you call the Attorney General or something? What do you call them? Attorney, county, no, it wasn't county, it was the Attorney General for the county. That was like 15 years ago. We were doing some campaigns for him and we were raising some funds for him. And one of the things he said at the dinner or the lunch that we had for him then, and he said that, okay, the schools are important. He went to an Ivy League and then when he finished, and he was saying how important it is when he opened doors for him. Do you understand? He went to a school, he opened doors for you. The school that you go to open doors for you. Definitely it does. And there's a lot of things that affect you in subtle ways. And when the guy left the county executive, he moved to a law firm. Just to let you to buttress what you're saying, he moved to a law firm somewhere in Montgomery County. I was living in Montgomery County then. Guess what? They sent us a whole, when he moved to that law firm, they sent every resident a card, and this is what they said in that card. This guy has joined our law firm. He went to Princeton, he went to Harvard. That's what they put in there. He's now a member of our law firm. What does that mean? Why do you have to say that? You can say, why do you have to say that? What I'm trying to say is this. Is it true? Does it affect where you go to? It does, but in a very subtle way. It's not something, and then when you're employing somebody, and they look at your resume and say, okay, where did you go to school at? Okay, all right, this is what you, okay, you got Harvard Business School, you went to Georgetown, you went to Maryland. Okay, they say, okay, you've gone to the best schools in this field. So therefore, if I employ you, I may give you, let's say I start you with 70 or 80 grand. Another guy comes from a lesser known, and they say, okay, okay, I can employ you. These are things that are not said, but things happen. I say, you know what, okay, I'll give him like 65, should be happy with 65, but this guy, I give him 75, I give him 80,000. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that are unsaid that are done. So your schools that you go to, because in that place, you have relationships that are built. A lot of people that rule this country, where do you think they all went to school at? Who are their favorites? They will pick graduates. There's some job interviews you go to, or they ask you, so where do you go to school? Oh, you went to, end of story. Hey, next, this guy is in. That's it. Do you understand? So that happens. Again, there are a lot of things that are not said, but that happens. Because they have associations, they have strong alumni. For example, there was a guy that went to Penn State, and they have one of the strongest alumni, Penn State University. And then they had an interview, and the guy said, oh, you're from, oh, that's it. You know, so it happens, but it's not something that is in the public space. But does it happen? Yes, it happens. And if you see people, because you're familiar with people that have gone through what you're familiar with, what you've gone through, so you tend to want to trust what they have. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah. I mean, but it doesn't mean that you could go to any school and become anybody. Yes, of course you can. That's the truth. But there's some things on the back end that, affect you. So, it's one of those things. And if you do a Google research, if you go to these kind of schools, what the income starting, you see that, oh, these guys tend to make more. Without anybody advertising it, but they tend to make more money and they tend to be pushed in a specific role. Maybe they say, okay, these ones are going to be the managers. There's a lot of things on the back end that you and I can't, we don't have any input in, but it happens. That's just what it is.
Praise the living Jesus. And I also want to add that even if you're unable to get to the top schools, Georgetown, GW, Princeton, if you do well in your undergrad, just make sure that wherever you are, you do very well. Doing very well will open door for you at graduate level. I've seen people that finish from UMES and they got admission to Yale, Princeton, for MBA, and for what have you. So once you are able to do that, end of the story. It's a lot. So the most important thing is that just make sure wherever we are, we do very well. So my question is, we don't hear about that again today. The distinction between PWI and HBCU and PWI, predominantly white institutions, and historical black schools and colleges, and what does it do for us minority? What what advice will you have for us as students, as children?
That's a fantastic question, Pastor. Funny, yeah, you're right. We didn't touch on that because it didn't prompt. Sometimes it's your questions that will prompt us to give some answers. Now, HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. In America, the HBCU, I think we have like about 200 HBCUs. Now, in the past, in this country was built on the backs of slaves, and people like us, our color, several hundred years ago, could not go to school that the white people went to. So, with time, with evolution, and with fighters like Marcus Garvey and all, with people like that came the struggle for education for black people. So people like us would not go into any of the predominantly white institutions. They would not admit us because of racism and Jim Crow laws and everything. But about a couple of hundred years ago, they started the HBCUs. And Howard, for example, Howard University here, like I was talking, Tuskegee, for example, Morehouse College, Spelman College, they started to build colleges for Negroes back then. So African American people started building colleges for them about a few hundred years ago. And I think Howard is one of the oldest ones. I think it was I don't remember when Howard was started, maybe 1850 or something. I don't remember. But they started building colleges for black people. And they call them historically black universities and colleges, HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. And the truth is, some of them offer excellent education. And some of them are funded by the government also. Like, funny enough, I remember that when Trump was president, he allocated some money to the black universities. But every year in, year out, one of the biggest shortages they have, they lack a lot of resources. Some of the first pilots in this country that were black, they came from Tuskegee University. You understand? So that was like several years ago. So without the HBCUs, there will be no opportunity for black people in this country. So we, as immigrants, African immigrants, we have benefited a whole lot from the struggles of African Americans, and we have to respect that. We have to understand that. They have created these avenues for us. The African Americans, they've been in this country, they have paved the way for a lot of what we enjoy. It didn't come for free. There was a time when you couldn't sit here, you couldn't worship here, you couldn't do anything because you were black. But they've paved the way, and things are evolving. We're still fighting through racism, of course, as you all know about George Floyd and everything. So the HBCUs are schools that were built predominantly to educate black people. Now, having said that, they have like 200 of them. Some are at the top, like Howard, Morehouse, Spelman. Some of them that are at the top of the chain of black universities that are very, like what's the one in Baltimore? Morgan. You know, so they give some pretty decent education. Of course, they don't have the resources that a lot of the PWIs will have. They don't have the resources. You understand? But a lot of them have very good education. And how can that benefit our students? Let me tell you something. There's some students, like Pastor Abe has said, you could go to an HBCU. Let me put it this way. The HBCUs everybody's always looking for the top candidates. Now, this is the funny statistic. In this area, Maryland, DC, Virginia area, we have a lot of top quality black or African American candidates. In this area, because you have a lot of immigrants, minorities from Africa, from West Indies, from Caribbean, from everybody. You have a lot of rich minority students here. So the competition is fierce here. In some other states, it's not as fierce. But every school wants a portion of minority, good quality. So the top PWIs are fighting for your best students. Now, we're talking about the Ivy Leagues. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, Dartmouth, Brown, UPenn, Columbia. Okay? They are always fighting for the top black candidates. Some of your spaces, some of the spaces you guys will fill in. But at the same time, the HBCUs are also fighting for high quality candidates, black candidates also, just to push up their numbers. Do you understand? Whereas if you have, let's say we have 1,000 out of, maybe you have 1,100, you can get into any school normally in the, maybe HBCU, except maybe like the top ones, maybe like Harvard or any of those other ones. But if you have like 1,500 in SAT, for example, and you want to study engineering, you have an HBCU that can give you 100% and say you don't even pay one penny. You know why? They need you to boost their numbers. They want to see high quality candidates. So they can give you a scholarship. And like you said, you could go there and pay nothing and get an excellent education amongst the top ones. And then from there, you just go, and then you go and do your master's in maybe in the top universities like Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and Yale, whatever. You could do that. That's an option. Do you understand? It's an option. So when you're thinking about college, you think about the whole thing. How would it be? And there's some students who can benefit from that. There's some students who may not do well in that environment. You understand? There's some students who may not do well in that environment, but there's some students who want that. I just want to be in that black environment. Funny enough, Howard is an HBCU. He's one of the top ones. But if you go to Howard, a lot more of the students are non-white. They're Iranians, Middle Eastern, Indian, Saudi Arabian. There are some white students at Howard too. So even though it's an HBCU, but they expanded their doors and they get students from everywhere. But Howard is a cosmopolitan university because it's right here in DC. If you go to Alabama, maybe Alabama A&E and all the other strong HBCU may have less of other people, but more of African American. But yes, you can get, you have to do your research. So you could get, put it this way, instead of you going to get, let's say you get 1,300 in SAT, again, you can get into some good, very good universities at HBCU, because that's excellent, that's a very good score. Because the average also, every school wants to raise the average of the SAT score. So you want to say, we're admitting students who, for example, I remember about maybe like 12, I went to one of the schools in the East Coast, PWI, and they had, in that year, the SAT was 2,400. They have like 20 people that got admitted. They had perfect 2,400 scores in that school. 2,400. They didn't have any, no, they didn't have 1 point away from the SAT. They had, so you tell me, and then, so the competition is high. Let me tell you something. In the United States, like I told you, the US has about 4,000 universities, but the top 200 universities in the world, the United States produces about 60% of that. 60% of the top universities in the world. So there's competition from everywhere, from the BRIC countries. We call them BRIC countries. Brazil, 350 million people. Russia, where we have 200 and something million of people. China, 1 point something billion people. India, 1 point something billion people. South Africa. So the BRIC countries are always they're always pushing their students into the top universities in America. Competition is high for the top schools. Here, there's a reason why. There's a lot of money on research and development. Let me give you, there's something called endowment. I didn't talk about it because there's so much stuff I talk about, but I didn't touch on it. Endowment. There's something called endowment. And maybe this will answer some of the questions. Endowment is what a school has in its pocket to do a lot of things. Harvard University is the most endowed university in the world as of a few years ago when I did my research. I don't know about now. I think they're still number one. Harvard was number one. I think Yale. Harvard has $33 billion. Now it's about $38 billion in endowment. That means what they have kept in some safe or to do business or do something that some of the alumni have given. It's not what they used to run the university. That money alone, just to give you an idea, the economy of Nigeria runs on about 34 billion from oil that we sell every year. So one small university that's only 6,000, 5,000 students, Harvard, has the same economy as Nigeria, a country of 250 million people. That's just to tell you. So Harvard is the most endowed university in the world, followed by, I think, Yale, like 32 or 30, with Princeton about 28 billion. They only have like 4,000 students. Georgetown here has about 7 billion. GW has about 1 billion in endowment. On the contrary, just to let you know, resources, which is what gives a university the opportunity. That's why they give scholarships to a lot of minority students. On the contrary, a university like University of Maryland, Baltimore campus, a very good school, UMBC, how much endowment do they have? About, I was doing some research, I was blown. I'm like, what? You know how much endowment they have back then? $1 million in UMBC. University of Maryland, one of the best universities, at least the top 60, top 70 universities in the country. Public, they only have 500 million. Howard has about 500 million in endowment. That's pretty high. On the other hand, the prep schools that I've been to, one prep school in Pennsylvania, I forgot the name. I used to visit a lot of them. I forgot the name. I forgot the name, you know. But they have $700 million in endowment. The school that my son went to, they have like 200 million in endowment. That's a prep school, just a school. It's ordinary secondary school. They have 200 million in endowment. Georgetown Prep here, they probably have some millions, maybe like hundreds of millions in endowment. Because the alumni, when they come out, they just say, oh, I give my school 50 million. Oh, you understand? That's what makes a school continue. We have to develop that culture. That someday, some of these guys will be Bill Gates. Bill Gates went to prep school. What's his name? Facebook, Zuckerberg. The prep school we went to, this is one of the number one prep schools in the country. What's it called in Massachusetts? What's this school, man? But imagine him giving them $1 billion. A prep school. They talk about, what's the name of this school? Forgot the name of the school, but the prep school that I went to anyway. He's worth about 30 or 40, $50 billion. He's only a 30-something-year-old man. So he gives the school $1 billion. Gates, So what I'm saying is, the people that get out of school, they give their schools money. So they have endowment, so they build a post. That's what they used to teach other people. They give scholarships. You may end up, for example, that's why somebody like my daughter will be able to go to Princeton and be able to get a scholarship of $50,000. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not because I have $50,000. I didn't have any money. All my 4 kids, at one point they were going to school. All of them. Each year, the school fees of my 4 children, each year is $240,000. Each year. Because she was going to Princeton, her brother was going to Villanova, and that was going to George Washington, and the last one was going to his school. I was looking, $240,000 is my full school fees for a year for all these children. Where am I going to get it? What did I steal? Where am I going to get that kind of money? But guess what? They opened doors for them. Out of that $240,000, maybe my requirement was only about $40,000 of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I was still crying, grinching. And I couldn't even come up with all of that. I say, you guys get student loan for the remaining, because me, I don't have money. But I didn't plan from young. I didn't plan from when they were kids to, I wanted them to pay it up, but I didn't have money. Struggling to survive in this country. Where am I going to get all those money saved? But again, so for 4 years, that's like $100,000 for $1 million for these 4 children to go to school at that time. Now, my son, the one in Annapolis, is in U.S. Naval Academy. The cost of education in U.S. Naval Academy is like $400,000 a year. Of course, she's not paying 1 penny. $400,000, yeah. It's a U.S. Naval Academy. That's the premier place to train. 400 is 412,000. Go and Google it. Yeah, but guess what? Go and Google it at the U.S. Naval Academy. That's the cost of the education. This is what happens. Of course, you're not paying 1 penny. You know why? You are in the United States Naval Academy. You're going to. There are 3 service academies, just for you to understand. For those of you who want to go to the military, U.S. the West Point in New York, West Point Academy, Military Academy. The U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis. I encourage you to go in and visit. You have to take your passport there for you to get on the campus. Go and visit. Then there's the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado. These 3 service academies, and then I think the Coast Guard Academy somewhere, I forgot. But for you to get in is very hard. You have to go through your senator or governor or the state rep. You have to go through people for you to get into these academies. But when you get in, it's free. But it's very tough. Maybe 75,000 people apply, they take only 1,005. And you have to go through not just academics. It's very rigorous, mostly white people. So if you have a few minorities there, you must do something to push you there. Now, when you get inside, you're not paying 1 penny, but the cost of education is like 400,000. You know why? If, for example, my son is going to graduate now. He's going to be an officer. But if he chooses not to, no problems. Write a check for 400,000 per year, and then you can go. That's it. You don't want to serve, no problem. Write a check, and then you can go. So that's it. So what I'm trying to say is, there's a lot of opportunities for people in this country. But we don't know how, because we're immigrants. We don't know. There's a lot of doors open. It opens doors for you. Some people want to be in the military. They want to be in the police. They want to do this stuff. There's opportunities for them. Every child is not the same thing. I want some of these guys to be running this country. They can't only run. Everybody can't be running as a doctor, or as a lawyer, as a insurance. Everybody, we must have different things that we all do. All the children must be in different areas and become leaders. Like you said, whatever school you go to, be it Howard County, be it Laurel High, be it the PG County, become the best in there. Become the best, because that opens doors for you other places. That's all. Whenever they find yourself, is Baltimore High School, become the best in Baltimore High School, and then it opens doors for you. That's the bottom line. I don't want to take too much of time, and